If you're a real Warriors fan living in the US, this video is for you. From coast to coast, America is buzzing after last night's game. Steph Curry just reminded the whole country why he runs the West. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, where we break down all the shocking twists, rumors, and breaking updates around the Golden State Warriors. And today, buckle up, because the drama in the Bay just got louder. Steph Curry has been caught right in the middle of a firestorm surrounding the future of Jonathan Kuminga. And believe me when I say this, the Warriors' future might actually be at risk depending on how this plays out. So let's dive straight into it. First off, if you've been following the Warriors this past year, you know that the Jonathan Kuminga saga has been slowly boiling under the surface. The former 7th overall pick has shown flashes of being an absolute star and explosive scorer, a versatile defender, and someone who brings energy and athleticism to a team that has often looked, well, a little bit old. But at the same time, Kuminga has been frustrated. Frustrated with his role, frustrated with minutes, and frustrated with the front office seemingly unsure if he's really part of the long-term plan. And now, reports say the Warriors' front office has been exploring multiple pathways, either giving Kuminga a long-term extension to secure him as the face of the future, or dangling him in potential blockbuster trades. And this is where Steph Curry comes in. Because apparently, Curry is shocked that the Warriors have let this situation drag out to this point. For Steph, it's simple. He's 37 years old now. He knows his championship window is shrinking. He doesn't have 5 or 6 years to wait around for young players to develop. He wants stars, he wants experience, he wants reliable teammates who can step up in the playoffs. But here's the tricky part: Jonathan Kuminga is not just any young player. He's the one guy on this roster that other GMs around the league actually value. He's the one who can bring back a star if the Warriors ever make a move. And according to people close to the team, this is exactly where the drama starts. On one hand, the front office sees Kuminga as trade bait. Package him with picks, maybe move on from Andrew Wiggins, and suddenly you're in conversations for guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, or even Kevin Durant. Big names, big talent, players who can help Curry chase one more ring. On the other hand, you have the reality that Kuminga is only 22 years old and already showing he could be the Warriors' franchise cornerstone when Curry eventually retires. And here's where Curry is reportedly stunned because the Warriors haven't chosen a clear direction. It's like the front office is stuck between the past and the future. They want to keep Curry happy now, but they also don't want to let go of their best young asset. That hesitation is what's putting Golden State in a dangerous position. Let's rewind a bit. Remember last season when Kuminga had that breakout stretch, averaging nearly 20 points a game when he was finally given big minutes? Everyone thought, okay, this is it. This is the guy who can carry the Warriors into the next era. But then come playoff time, his minutes disappeared. He sat on the bench in crucial stretches while veterans like Wiggins and Draymond got the nod. And that's when the frustration really boiled over. Kevin Durant rejecting the opportunity to reunite with Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors is the kind of news that shakes the entire NBA landscape. Fans had been buzzing for months about the possibility of KD making his way back to the Bay, the place where he captured 2 championships, 2 Finals MVPs, and etched his name into Warriors history. For many, the reunion felt like destiny. After all, Curry and Durant together were practically unstoppable, a duo that redefined how dominant an offensive team could be. But now, with reports surfacing that Durant has rejected that possibility, the narrative shifts dramatically, raising questions about his future, his legacy, and the Warriors' path forward. Let's take a moment to remember the history here. Back in 2016, when Durant shocked the world by leaving Oklahoma City to join Golden State, he was instantly branded as both a traitor and a genius. Critics accused him of taking the easy road, but what no one could deny was how devastatingly effective the move turned out to be. With Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green already forming the backbone of a dynasty, Durant's arrival elevated the Warriors from champions to an all-time juggernaut. The team stormed through the league, winning 2 straight titles in 2017 and 2018, and coming within a breath of a three-peat in 2019 before injuries derailed everything. Durant's years in the Bay defined an era of dominance that the NBA hasn't really seen replicated since. That's why the idea of him coming back always lingered in the air. Warriors owner Joe Lacob and GM Mike Dunleavy Jr. reportedly had internal conversations about the feasibility of bringing Durant back, especially with Stephen Curry making it clear that he still has a few elite years left and wants to maximize his championship window. Even Curry himself has spoken glowingly about Durant, emphasizing that their chemistry was undeniable and that any issues that existed in the past were overblown by the media. Fans imagined it: Curry running off screens, Durant isolating from mid-range, Klay finding his rhythm, and Draymond orchestrating the defense. It was the perfect storm, a chance to recapture glory. But Durant's rejection changes that storyline completely. From what insiders are saying, KD wasn't swayed by the nostalgia or the prospect of more rings alongside Curry. Instead, his decision was driven by two major factors: control and narrative. Durant has long been criticized for joining a ready-made dynasty, and although he silenced doubters with his Finals MVP performances, the sting of that criticism never really left. Many believe KD wants to prove, once and for all, that he can be the centerpiece of a championship team without relying on a franchise already loaded with Hall of Famers. Joining the Warriors again might give him an easier path to another ring, but it would also reignite the same debates that have followed him since 2016. By rejecting the Warriors, Durant seems to be saying, "I'll do it my way." There's also the matter of relationships. While Curry and Durant reportedly have mutual respect and no lingering animosity, things weren't exactly smooth behind the scenes during Durant's final year in Golden State. Draymond Green's infamous blow-up at KD in 2018, where he allegedly told him, "We don't need you, we won without you," remains a sore memory. Even though both sides have since downplayed it, those scars don't just vanish. Durant is known to be sensitive to criticism and locker room dynamics, and the idea of stepping back into that environment may not have appealed to him. Financially, it's also a complicated picture. Golden State is already deep into the luxury tax, and bringing Durant back would have required massive financial gymnastics. The team might have had to part ways with younger players like Jonathan Kuminga or Brandon Podziemski, sacrificing their future for a short-term window. KD knows this. Returning would mean altering the balance of a roster that's trying to rebuild around Curry while also keeping one eye on the future. By rejecting the reunion, Durant essentially saves the Warriors from making a desperate, all-in gamble that could backfire. Still, this news leaves Warriors fans with mixed emotions. On one hand, the thought of Durant coming back was tantalizing, a throwback to the glory days when Golden State was untouchable. On the other hand, many fans feel that Durant leaving in 2019 was a clean break, and reopening that chapter might have muddied the waters. Curry's legacy doesn't need Durant to shine, it's already secure. The Warriors' dynasty belongs to him. Some argue that Durant coming back would overshadow Curry's story, turning what should be his era into a shared narrative once again. Perhaps, in a way, Durant's rejection is a blessing for Curry's individual legacy. But what does this mean for Durant himself? The rejection suggests he's doubling down on carving out a narrative of independence. Whether in Phoenix or wherever his career takes him next, KD seems determined to win on his own terms. The Suns' Big Three experiment with Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal hasn't exactly lived up to expectations, but KD isn't ready to abandon ship. If he can find a way to lead Phoenix deep into the playoffs, it would validate his decision to spurn the Warriors. If not, the criticism will only grow louder. It's also a fascinating moment for the league. The NBA thrives on drama, and the Durant Warriors saga has been one of the defining storylines of the past decade. His rejection keeps the intrigue alive. It sets the stage for more battles between Curry and Durant, but this time as rivals, not teammates. Imagine a playoff series where Curry and the Warriors square off against Durant and the Suns. The narratives would write themselves: unfinished business, past teammates colliding, legacies on the line. Fans on social media have been quick to react, with some praising Durant for refusing to repeat history and others slamming him for missing a golden chance to add more championships. The conversation is polarizing, just like everything KD does. Some Warriors loyalists are even relieved, arguing that the team should focus on its young core and build for the future rather than clinging to the past. Others are disappointed, feeling like the ultimate what-if just slipped through their fingers. Stephen Curry, for his part, hasn't made any public statement yet, but you can bet he would have welcomed Durant back with open arms. Curry has always put winning above ego, and he's proven time and again that he's willing to sacrifice shots, stats, and spotlight for the good of the team. That's why the duo worked so well in the first place. Curry's selflessness allowed Durant to thrive without friction. If KD ever wanted to come back, Curry would have made it seamless. But with that door seemingly closed, Curry now turns his focus to maximizing whatever pieces the Warriors do have. The rejection also raises a bigger question about Golden State's strategy. The dynasty era is clearly winding down, and the front office faces tough choices. Do they double down on chasing one last title with Curry, even if it means sacrificing the future? Or do they slowly transition into a rebuild, allowing players like Kuminga to grow into franchise pillars? Durant's decision may have forced their hand. Without him, the Warriors may have to accept that their championship window is closing and start thinking about what comes next. In many ways, Durant rejecting the Warriors is symbolic. It's the final nail in the coffin of that dynasty's chance at a revival. The KD-Curry partnership will remain a glorious memory, frozen in time. Fans will always wonder what could have been if Durant stayed healthy in 2019, if the trio had gotten one more run, if egos and outside pressure hadn't gotten in the way. But sports are about chapters, and that chapter is closed. Durant seems to know it, and maybe deep down, so do the Warriors. Still, one can't help but imagine how terrifying it would have been. Curry raining threes, Durant torching defenders from mid-range, Klay spacing the floor, Draymond locking down on defense. That's the stuff of nightmares for the rest of the league. But it's not happening. Instead, the NBA continues into a new era where parity reigns, super teams struggle to stay intact, and legends like Curry and Durant fight separate battles to cement their legacies. Durant's choice is bold, risky, and perhaps even defiant. By rejecting the Warriors, he's betting on himself, his own vision, and his own story. Only time will tell if that bet pays off. But one thing is certain, the NBA just got a whole lot more interesting, because the possibility of Durant and Curry reuniting was never just about basketball. It was about history, redemption, and legacy. And now, with that door closed, the questions and debates will rage on for years to come. Fans will continue to debate, did Durant make the right call? Should the Warriors have pushed harder? Was this reunion ever really realistic, or just a fantasy fueled by nostalgia? These are the conversations that make the NBA the most dramatic league in sports. And whether you love Durant or hate him, you can't deny that his decisions shaped the league in ways few players ever have. So, as the dust settles, all eyes will remain on Kevin Durant. He has drawn his line in the sand, rejecting the comfort of the Bay to forge his own path. And while the Warriors turn the page, Durant carries the weight of expectation, criticism, and opportunity. His rejection isn't just about saying no to Curry, it's about saying yes to himself, his pride, and his quest for a legacy defined on his own terms. And in the end, that might be the most Durant thing of all. Reports surfaced that Kuminga was unhappy, that he might even request a trade if things didn't change. That's not just noise, those are real warning signs. Now, fast forward to this offseason. Joe Lacob, the Warriors owner, has been very clear. The team is not going into a full rebuild. They want to compete as long as Steph Curry is on the floor. But here's the kicker: competing might mean sacrificing Jonathan Kuminga. And that decision could literally shape the Warriors' next decade. Steph, according to insiders, is torn. On one side, he understands the value of adding another star to help him win now. On the other, he's reportedly grown close to Kuminga and sees the talent with his own eyes every day in practice. It shocks him that the organization hasn't committed to one path yet, either build around Kuminga for the future, or trade him for the present. Let me ask you this, can you imagine the Warriors trading Kuminga away, only to see him blossom into a superstar somewhere else, while the Warriors are left scrambling after Curry retires? That's the nightmare scenario fans keep bringing up. It's Kevin Durant all over again, but in reverse this time the Warriors would be letting go of their future instead of adding one. And the locker room dynamic is another huge piece of this puzzle. Draymond Green has already been vocal about trusting veterans over young players. Klay Thompson, now gone, was another guy who preferred experience over development. So when you put Kuminga into that mix, it creates tension. He wants a bigger role, but the vets want reliability. Steph Curry is right in the middle of that divide. He's trying to win, but he also knows he can't play forever. And if you think this is just small drama, think again. Because multiple NBA insiders have suggested that several teams like the Toronto Raptors, San Antonio Spurs, and even the Miami Heat have already called the Warriors to check on Kuminga's availability. One report even said the Spurs were willing to package picks alongside a young guard to get Kuminga. Imagine pairing him with Victor Wembanyama. That could be a dynasty in San Antonio for the next decade. And you can bet Steph Curry has thought about that. The idea of losing Kuminga and watching him dominate elsewhere? That's shocking for him, and maybe even unacceptable. But here's where things get really spicy. The Warriors don't just have a Kuminga problem, they have a financial problem. This roster is one of the most expensive in the league. Lacob has been writing massive luxury tax checks for years, but even he admitted it can't go on forever. Keeping Kuminga means paying him big money soon. Trading him could save millions while also bringing in a star. And Curry knows that money plays a role here. The future of the franchise is literally hanging in the balance. If the Warriors extend Kuminga and make him their guy, they're signaling a shift away from the win-now Curry era toward a slow transition. If they trade him, they're saying Steph is still the priority, and they'll push all in for another title shot. Either way, it's a gamble. And Curry's shock comes from the fact that the organization seems hesitant, maybe even afraid, to make that call. And let's not ignore the fans here. Warriors Nation is split right down the middle. Some fans say, trade Kuminga, give Curry one last shot with another superstar. Others argue, no way, Kuminga is the future, don't repeat the same mistakes other franchises made by giving up their young core too early. It's a civil war within the fanbase, and that only adds more pressure on the front office. But let's circle back to Steph Curry. What happens if the Warriors make the wrong call? What if they trade Kuminga, and the move backfires? Does Curry start questioning the front office? Does he lose faith in the team's direction? He's been loyal to Golden State his entire career, but even the most loyal players can get frustrated if they feel their legacy is being mishandled. That's why this Kuminga drama isn't just about one player, it's about the identity of the Warriors moving forward. One source even claimed that Curry has privately pushed the front office to clarify their direction. He doesn't want to be left in limbo while the team debates between future and present. And honestly, who can blame him? He's earned the right to have a say in these decisions. He's the reason this franchise has 4 championships in the modern era. If Curry is shocked, if Curry is frustrated, then it's a big deal. So where do we go from here? If you're Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy Jr., you have to make a decision fast. Either extend Kuminga and give him the keys, or package him in a blockbuster that puts the Warriors back in the championship conversation. The middle ground, holding on to him, while also limiting his role, is what created this drama in the first place. And if that continues, the Warriors might not just lose Kuminga, they might lose the trust of their superstar, Steph Curry. This is the crossroads moment. This is the point where the Warriors either secure their future or risk it all. And that's why everyone's saying Steph Curry is shocked. Not because he doesn't believe in Kuminga's talent, but because the franchise he's given everything to seems paralyzed by indecision. So buckle up, Warriors fans. This story isn't going away anytime soon. And the decision the front office makes could go down as one of the most important in Golden State history.